Hello and welcome. Thank you for attending today's webinar, The 5 Worst Financial Mistakes Law Firm Owners Make and How to Avoid Them. If you are new to our Atticus webinars and you would like to know a little bit about Atticus, Atticus was founded in 1989 with programs and services designed to help you with accountability, increasing your gross revenues and your income, efforts to reduce your stress and the number of hours you spend in the office. We want to give you a greater sense of career satisfaction and give you back that time that you'd like to spend with your family and your personal interests. If you've ever attended an Atticus workshop or webinar and realized that you might benefit from one of our programs and would like to see if you qualify for one, you can contact us at grow@atticusadvantage.com. The best way to determine if you are the right fit for one of our programs or if it's the right fit for you is to go through what we call the Practice Growth Diagnostic. Today's presenter is Cammie Hauser. She is a CPA and a longtime practice advisor with Atticus. She holds her CPA license in Florida and uses her experience in public and private accounting to help small and solo law firm owners in all aspects of running their practices. She's a shareholder in Atticus, and she teaches some of our programs as well, including the Practice Growth Program, and has taught many of our workshops, including how to build your law firm for sale. Without further ado, here is Cammie. Cammie, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I greatly appreciate everyone's attention here today, and I'm looking forward to giving you some insights and to share the 5 worst financial mistakes that law firm owners make, and hopefully how you can avoid making them. And so I'm going to lead you through these mistakes and see if you can find yourself or find an area where you can work on. I would like for each of you that is listening to have the opportunity to jot down a note or two. I'd like for you to have a pencil, pen, perhaps, well, I'm sure most of you have your smartphones available that you could go to a notes section and make a note or two as I'm going through this presentation and see where you find yourself. We'll talk about those 5 financial mistakes that you often make. We're going to also talk about how to implement change. What can you do about those mistakes? How can you avoid them and to make things better? And then I'm going to focus us on our most important recommendation after this webinar is completed. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to take you back to when you first began your ideal practice. Why did you form your practice? What were you hoping to achieve? And so we found there are many reasons that you break away and into ownership of your own. You're looking for autonomy. You want to be free. You want to be free of having that boss, of having that client that's annoying, or you want to be free and be able to decide what you want to do and when you want to do it. You obviously, one of the main drivers for you is probably making more money. You want to be more profitable, and you feel that you could perhaps do things a little bit differently than from where perhaps another firm that you were with. You could see very clearly how things could be run differently and you could make more money. Many of you, when you think about your ideal practice, you're looking for control, wanting control over your life where you can decide how things are done and that you can decide what is done and when it's done. And obviously, most of us have a desire to spend more time with our family, with our friends, and focusing on the things that are truly important in life. Well, that's the ideal. That was your dream when you started. Tell me, how is that working for you? What really happens? And so I really appreciate, for those of you who can view this webinar, the picture of a building, an entire building on your back. I picture this, you are carrying it all. You're carrying this heavy load. instead of having that autonomy, you're actually more like a slave to your practice. The practice owns you. Instead of making more money and being more profitable, oftentimes we find you are chasing cash flow. You're not sure where the next client or where the next retainer or where the next invoice is going to be paid and how it's going to be paid. You find that you're frustrated with your staff. You don't have time to spend with your family because your time is spent often with difficult clients doing things that you would rather not do. This is the reality that many of you are facing. So, what is it that we can do about this? Well, here are the facts. The basics that I usually see are that many owners know what their revenue was, say for last year, but they don't know any more than that. That's all they know. I can tell you what my revenue was last year. Another thing that we oftentimes find is that many owners feel that they have to do something themselves in order for it to get done correctly. And so these are some of the common assumptions that we run into when we're talking to different law firm owners. And you don't know the important numbers. So I want to launch right into these 5 worst financial mistakes that law firm owners often make. So here's mistake number 1. The owner does all producing of the firm's revenue so that there's no time. There's no time for anything else. We call this, in Atticus, we call this the technician trap. This is where you, as the owner, are doing it. You're doing more, you are doing it right, and your focus is down. I can see you right now sitting in your office. Your head is down. You're looking at your phone, you're looking at your computer, you're looking at a file. Your focus is down. When you have your focus down, there are a lot of things that are going on and changing around you that you're completely unaware of. When we get into this technician trap, as we call it, it is a trap. There's going to be no time for you, no time for family. There's no time to strategize. Even if I were to strategize on a client's case, I often don't even have that time, much less to develop a strategy for your law firm as a business, because you get so used to doing it. You get so used to carrying the weight. You're carrying the building around on your back. You also don't have time to listen. It actually takes time to listen. And at the very end of that list, I would say there's no time for yourself. So the very first mistake we make is that you, as the owner, are producing too much. You're used to producing so much. You need to get out of your own way. So that is the very first mistake. You are doing too much of the producing and production of the revenue. Okay, so let's move on now to mistake number 2. The owner is not committed to a growth strategy or even having a marketing goal. This mistake is built upon the first mistake, where we find we are too busy. We are too busy producing that we're not even able to focus on the firm's future. I want to go back to that feeling there's a feeling that you as the owner have to do it all in order to get it done correctly. This busyness can fool us into feeling successful. But what is your plan for growth? Natural attrition is going to occur, so a growth strategy is a must for your survival, for your firm. And so when I think about the owner that does not have a growth strategy, when I think about their marketing goal, I think about some specifics of who should I be marketing to? What should I be saying to them? How and when should I say it? This is all part of the marketing strategy, and it's a commitment for the owner to invest in the future growth. So I'm looking for an investment. Once again, not focused down, I'm focused forward and into the future. So let's talk about this third mistake. This third mistake where the owner does not know or track the productivity of the firm's team members. Now, if you look at the financial, because we are focused here on financials, if you look at the financial picture of any organization, the team members usually account for 40 to 50% for each dollar that is earned. Each dollar earned is spent or invested in people, the people that help you to deliver the service that you're providing. It's the largest investment for your business. It is people, the people working for you. So, since I'm taking this huge amount of the revenue I receive and I'm paying it to my people to produce, the question is, for you, owner, how are they performing? How do you track what they do? What is expected for each person on your team? And what feedback are you giving, if any? Is it ever written down? Is it discussed verbally and then follow-up action taken? So the largest expense that you have, the largest investment you make as an owner is on your people. The question is, do you know, do you track what they're doing? So that is mistake number 3. Owners do not know or they do not track. All right, let's go on to mistake number 4. Mistake number 4 has to do with the owner is not clarifying priorities for their team members, including why. So when I think about the staff members, my team, that I am trusting and helping me, they are helping me to deliver a service to our clients. How is it that we set priorities? And how does the team members, how do they know what it is that they should do first and why? When I'm looking at you as an owner, since there's only one of you and you've got one or more of them, you have got to get into a habit of being a good person that can delegate and that you're able to leverage. So this is a key factor for your financial performance, is for you to be able to leverage off of the team members that you have, whatever those team members are. If they're part-time, if they're working 3/4 time, if they're in your office, if they're working remotely, whatever it is, for you to clarify the priorities. Setting priorities enables you to deploy those assets, to deploy your workers so that they are operating at their highest and best use. And this is one of the key concepts too that I talk to when I'm dealing with law firm owners. I'm looking to you to be operating at your highest and best use. That will not happen automatically. It will not happen by default. We have to be very intentional. And so the very first step in overcoming this mistake is for the owner to clarify priorities for themselves, and then to communicate that clearly to team members, explaining to them why we're doing this and how they need to react and respond and what is the highest and best use of their time. The other thing that I find is that once we clarify for this for our team members, if we're able to do that, something's going to happen. There's going to be a change that occurs. There's going to be new software. There's going to be a hurricane. There's going to be new clients that we don't know how to deal with. There's going to be a new team member, new staff. Something will come across, something new that they don't know how to deal with and they don't know how to prioritize. And so the owner is once again not maximizing this resource in the team members that the owner has. So this is, I find this, even when the owner is starting to learn and adapt for themselves in prioritizing, it still takes an effort for you to maximize your team and for them to operate at their highest and best use. And in a changing environment, priorities are changing, and so it's a constant, continuous role of improvement. So there's mistake number 4. Now, let's move on now to mistake number 5. The owner isn't sure what the firm's profitability margin is or what increases it, what changes it, and even what decreases it. What is my profitability margin, and how do I make that get larger? So the first thing that I want to do to overcome this is I want to actually tell you, what is your profitability margin? From a definition, it's defined as the net income. That's that net profit, the bottom number on your income statement or your profit and loss statement. It's that bottom number divided by the revenue number. That gives you a percentage. Now, once you're aware of what that percentage is, the question is, okay, how do I increase that? How do I increase that percentage? And I would tell you a mistake that's often made is that owners will come and try to increase that by cutting expenses. They'll say, okay, that's all right, I'll cut this out. Let me cut these expenses out. And once again, that to me has a downward focus. The largest opportunity is going to lie in growing your revenue, which is a top line focus, which is your head is up. You're focused on the future. You don't have your head down, focused on what is an expense I can cut so that I can get this profit margin up for perhaps the short term. So being aware what your profit margin is and what increases it. How do I make my profitability go up? Is there a way I can leverage on my people? Is there something I need to do to increase my revenues? Do I need to increase my rates? Do I need to increase my flat fee? What is it that I need to do in order to increase my profit margin? This is a critical mistake that owners often make, and it's not it's not intentional. They do this by default. They do this because they don't know. They don't know what it is. They're just not sure. So we have developed a tool that can help you to actually overcome these mistakes. And so if you're looking at the screen right now, you can see this tool. Some of you may be familiar with a calendar. You may be familiar with looking at what's happening in your week, in your day. You're focused on what's going on in the calendar. Well, this is a financial template, and this is actually a worksheet that we have. And this is available, and I'll tell you how you can get this worksheet if you'd like a copy of it. And that way you will have it and you can begin to actually use it. I want you to notice a few things about this worksheet. So number one is the fact that this worksheet covers Monday through Friday. At Atticus, we consider that to be the work week. It does not include Saturday and Sunday. We strongly encourage and recommend that our clients work Monday through Friday, and they figure out a way to work Monday through Friday so that they have a practice that is serving them and their lives, not the other way around. We don't want you working Monday through Friday and then taking nights and weekends to do more work, to do other work. So the first mistake where you're doing it all, you're producing it all, we want you to set boundaries and have some lines that you don't cross, that you plan what the priorities are. So overcoming that first mistake would be in having this financial template. The second mistake, which I often find that I'm discussing with my clients, is not having a marketing goal, not having a marketing strategy. And so many times I often will ask my clients, what is your marketing strategy for the month? What are you planning to accomplish from a marketing perspective for the month? And this would be a nice little thing that you could easily just write up here when you're looking and planning for the month going forward. What would our marketing goal be? And if I could get clarity on that, that would really give me and my team some direction. Exactly what is my marketing goal for the month? Now I want you to notice here too, the mistake number 3, when we're not tracking, we don't know or we don't track productivity for our team members. You'll notice here every Monday, there's a productivity report. And I would envision that this report is actually printed out, and it's going to be based upon the prior week's production. What did my team members produce? What did they do? It could be billable hours. It could be new cases opened. It could be intake. It could be how many initial consultations they did. It could be how many demands were sent out. It could be whatever you determine is a productivity measurement, a standard for each person. And can you imagine if you were to look at this on a weekly basis to determine who is doing what? It really gives you the ability to overcome that mistake number 3, knowing and tracking. What is my team doing? What have they produced? Where is there perhaps a problem? It also will help us to overcome that mistake number 4, setting priorities. Many times I find that your team members, your staff people, they will work and complete priorities in what they think and how they should think it should be done. If they're working on case matters, they might decide that the first case that came in is the first one they need to work on because that's fair. That's only fair. Well, could you imagine if an emergency room operated based on first in, first out? We're going to take you in the order you come in regardless of your degree of injury. We're just going, you have to wait in line. So I would assert that your law firm needs to have some ability to prioritize different cases and clients in a different way. And so this is one of the areas that you can help your team to overcome that mistake number 4 by prioritizing for them. And these weekly reports give you an amazing piece of information and what's going on with your team. Now let's talk about the mistake number 5, you don't know what the profitability margin is or what increases it. Well, first of all, for those of you who do billing, the invoices are out the first week of the month. That's without fail. This is when it happens. So your job as an owner is to build a system that makes that happen. Invoices must go out. If there are amounts in trust, they must be transferred into your operating account. But this is set on the calendar and everyone knows what it is and everyone's working towards this goal, whatever it may be. If I'm reviewing billing invoices, if I'm reviewing the drafts before they go out, and whatever has to happen in order for you to get the invoices out the first week of the month, that's what you need to do. The financials are completed here. This is now in the second week of the month. And we're looking at the financials being completed so that you as the owner can evaluate and look at what happened last month. Why did that happen? Are there any surprises? Are there any changes I need to make as the owner of this business? So the financials are completed, and then there's a form that we call a dashboard. And this gives you some key financial indicators. The dashboard is due. Someone is preparing this for you. As the owner, you're not preparing this. You are actually reviewing this with the person who prepared it, or the people. You may have more than one person on your team preparing different parts of a dashboard. But a dashboard is similar to what you see on the dashboard of your car. How much fuel do we have? How fast are we going? Are there any lights on? Are there any warnings or dangers? Am I reviewing what the key indicators of my practice are? Have I identified what they are? And I'm reviewing them on a monthly basis. This gives me some great insight into helping to increase my profitability. Here's another profitability measure, is to review accounts receivable and the aging. Having a specific day of the month where I review aging. And oh, by the way, this isn't at the time when I'm asking this, when I'm getting invoices out. Because oftentimes I'll have an administrative person who's charged with getting these invoices out. And then if I want to review accounts receivable and do the dashboard, if I want everything done at once, it won't happen. They're constantly running behind. So if I can pick another time when I review accounts receivable, it's not when I think about it. It's not when it occurs to me. It's not when, oh, the cash balance is low. Let's review accounts receivable. No, this is at a specific time every month, a specific day. And then perhaps sometimes some of us need to have a whole day that we just say, this is our collection day. This is our dollar day. This is the day that we want everyone in the firm, whatever we're doing, to be focused on collecting, collecting, collecting. And perhaps that's something that you might need to implement to help set those expectations and to be looking at your firm as a business. That's what we want for you. Now, for those of you who would like to have a copy of this, we'll be glad to provide this for you. As part of our follow-up, Jeff or Larry from Atticus is going to reach out to you, and they will be able to provide you with this worksheet. They can provide you with the presentation and even an audio recording for you to go back through and listen again if there was something that you missed. They are our client service advisors, and I want to encourage you, when Larry or Jeff from Atticus calls you, you need to take their call. That's going to be your first step so that you can get the materials and not be caught up and be so busy that you're not able to stop the cycle of making mistakes, the same mistakes over and over again. One of the things that we learn, that we look at in a business owner and how they develop, is they must evolve so that their business can grow. The very first level is that the owner must learn to manage themselves. As the business grows and you add people, the owner then must learn how to manage a team. So I'm managing myself first, the first step, then I learn to manage my team. As the business continues to grow, as the quantity of staff increases, there are complexities. And that if your firm gets to a certain size, you now have to manage managers of people, because there's not enough of you to go around for every person, for every team member. And you can stunt the growth of your organization if you're not aware of this and capable of managing first yourself, then your team, then managers. So the question is, what's next for you? What's our recommendation? And this really is our top recommendation. I want you all, each of you, to take a deeper look at your practice and your leadership and your management skills. This webinar just took a little peek at your firm's performance, maybe gave you some insights as to what you could or should be doing. For some of you, it's a wake-up call where you need to focus your efforts. I've got to be honest, some of you, it's the idea or hope that you don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over again, that there is a different way, and there's a way that works. So my recommendation is going to be that for those of you that are ready to take this practice growth diagnostic, and I want to tell you a little bit about what's involved with this practice growth diagnostic. There are several parts of it. Number one is there is a focused DISC profile. The DISC profile, which you'll see here in this first block, it tells you a little bit about yourself. This is giving you some insight into how you behave and how that affects your leadership, your management, and dealing with clients, with team members, even in your own personal life. The DISC is a great tool that we use, and it's part of this diagnostic. The other part is it's a practice assessment. It focuses on all the different systems or lack thereof in your practice. This is an individualized approach, which a webinar such as this can't possibly address each of your individual concerns. But this practice assessment does, by going into marketing, staffing, time management, cash flow, pricing. There's all of these. This assessment will be answered by you honestly, and how and what your practice needs are. Then there's an advisor that gets on the phone with you to talk about what's going on. Perhaps the mistakes that you have made, or that you realize you've made the mistakes, but you don't know what the answer is. You don't know how to overcome that mistake. They're going to give you insights, ideas, and make recommendations so that you walk away with 3 most impactful, powerful action items. And from there, after that, they can guide or advise you as to where the appropriate place for you to be is. It may be in a Rainmakers program. It may be having a specific workshop. Some of you may need to be focused on building your practice to sell, because you're going to be retiring within 10 years. Some of you may need a retreat. Some of you might be ready for a practice growth program, or perhaps maybe even some of you need an accelerated growth advantage, working one-on-one with a practice advisor. So these are different programs that this advisor will help you determine what are the best needs for you and for your firm. So where did we begin, and where do we want to go? Well, your future practice, which is what we see, is made of you having the freedom. Your life is designed to serve you. You have more money. Your business is more profitable. And having a greater sense of purpose and working with great clients. And I want you to envision and think about a really great client that you work with, that you admire. It's such a pleasure to work with them. Could you imagine if that was what your firm was like every day? That's what we have in mind for you, for your future practice. We talked about where you started your dream, why you wanted to open your own law firm, what changes you wanted to make and where you thought you would be, the reality of you carrying it all, doing it all, being a slave to your practice, chasing, being frustrated, not having time, and then the next step. Where do you start? Where do you go from here? What is the first step that you need to make to have that bigger future growth plan? The plan is the critical part of that, to build your dream and to have someone helping and supporting you along the way. So for those of you, the Practice Growth Diagnostic, I want to tell you what your investment is. Your investment is $295. That includes the survey, the assessment I spoke about, a DISC profile, and the report, and a 1-hour teleconference with a diagnostic advisor, and they will discuss the results and offer you some very specific action items. So how would you sign up for one? You simply visit us online at atticusadvantage.com. You'll see that, atticusadvantage.com, atticusadvantage.com. And then you just click on that, let's get started. So that's the first step to take. Once again, I will let you know that Jeff and Larry will reach out to you as a follow-up for this webinar. Take their call. That's a first proactive step you can do. Take your call. Don't focus downward. Focus upward into the future. To make your business, to make your day to be different. Now, of course, we've got the 90-day Let Me Think About It program. And the Think About It program, where someone says, well, I'm going to think about that. Let me just think about it. Well, the answer is, after 90 days, if you don't even try it, you'll be at the same point you are today. Doing it, doing it, doing it. Doing it all, doing more, and not being able to take control, not having the freedom, the profitability, and even, honestly, the hope for change to make a difference. So at this point in time, what I would like to do is take some questions from the people who may have questions. And so, Mike, this might be a great time to stop the recording, if that works. So we're not recording anyone's questions if you would like to remain anonymous. Okay. To ask a question, you can use the chat function on your GoToWebinar dashboard, or you can also raise your hand and we can unmute you. So we will take a few minutes here and see if anyone has any questions. Any questions? And these questions could be about anything. So I'm going to give you a few minutes in case you're trying to locate how to type in a question on your GoToWebinar dashboard. And if you go to the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar, you'll see a little dashboard or an arrow. You can click on that. And then down towards the bottom of the page, there's a chat function. Okay, Mike, I'm not seeing any questions here. And I'm not hearing anyone.
Yeah, you're correct. No one has sent in any questions today.
Okay. All right. Well, that will then take care of our webinar. And once again, for those of you who are still on with us, please make sure that you when Jeff and Larry reach out to you, make sure you take that call and take that first step in changing your life. Thank you very much.